Yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to another reading of Demon Slayer KIMETSU no YAIBA. We're going to be reading through chapters 62 through 70, which makes up volume 8 of the series. Last we left off in chapter 61, Rengoku is taking care of 5 passenger cars. Zenitsu and Nezuko are taking care of 3, while Inosuke and Tanjiro are in the engine preparing to deal the final blow to Enmu, who has pretty much morphed into the train. So now we get to see what happens in chapter 62, ending in a dream. And it shows Tanjiro slicing into the neck of Rui and completely slicing the neck, not Rui, Enmu. I don't know why I keep thinking of Rui, but slicing into the neck of Enmu through the train, and then it shows Enmu and his head separating and him screaming out. And then it just shows him screaming out, and it shows multiple arms just morphing and jutting out from the train itself as he just screams in pain. And both Inosuke and Tanjiro cover their ears. Those are some death throes. Everything's shaking. And then it shows the rest. Then it shows the rest of the cars, the rest of the passenger cars getting thrown up into the air as it shows, Enmu's flesh just morphing through it and causing everything to upheaval as well. Then Inosuke says, "You cut off its head so it's thrashing around. Uh-oh, we're gonna flip. Inosuke!" And then there's a zing in Tanjiro. And then it shows Inosuke trying to get out. When he says, "Is your stomach all right?" And then Tanjiro says, "Protect the passengers!" And then it shows, then I guess is this the conductor? No, the conductor is still there. So I'm guessing he's trying to get the conductor out and saying, "I can't die. If I die, that man becomes a killer. I can't die. I won't let anyone die." And it shows the train, covered in flesh and just an amalgamation of flesh and metal parts. And Inosuke is there saying, "Are you all right? Santoro!" Because, Inosuke is not capable, so far has never been able to pronounce Tanjiro and Zenitsu's name properly. "Are you all right? Santoro! Hang in there! The demon's flesh was springy and that saved me. Weird, huh?" And then he's holding on to Tanjiro, and Inosuke is still screaming at him, and he's shaking him. "Are you all right? You got stabbed." And then Tanjiro says, "I'm fine. How about you?" "I feel great. Not even a sniffle." And Tanjiro says, "I can't move yet. You go help the others. Who's injured? How about the engineer up front?" And then Inosuke doesn't say anything, and he says, "I actually think it's all right if he dies." And then Tanjiro says, "No, it's not. He stabbed you in his stomach. Anyway, his leg is pinned under the engine. There's no way he can walk. If we leave him, he'll die." "No, he's already suffered enough. Help him." And Inosuke still doesn't say anything. And then Tanjiro says, "Please?" And then Inosuke says, "Because I'm a good boss, I'll do it, to make my underling happy. But after I help him, I'm ripping out all his hair." And then Tanjiro, laying down, just says, "You don't have to do that." And then it just shows him just laying down. Dawn is coming. I gotta get my breathing under control. I have to help the injured. Nezuko, Zenitsu, Rengoku. They've got to be safe." And then it shows what's left of Enmu, kind of trying to assemble himself a little bit, but it's not really working because it shows him starting to chip away and fade away. "And my body is destroyed. I can't regenerate. Did I lose? Am I going to die? Me? Ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I never used my full strength. I didn't eat a single human. My plan to fuse with the train and eat everyone has failed. Now look at me, after all the time and effort I put in. This is all his fault." And it shows, apparently he's pinning this blame not on Tanjiro, but Rengoku, of Rengoku. I took hundreds of hostages, but he still cornered and pinned me down. That's the power of a Hashira. He was so fast, even without undoing my spell. And that he was so fast, even without undoing my spell. And it shows an illustration of Zenitsu just constantly slicing apart the flesh in the car he's in with Nezuko. And that girl, she's a demon. What's up with that? Showing Nezuko, of course. A demon working with a demon slayer? Why hasn't Lord Muzan killed her? Darn it all. Anyway, it all started to go wrong when that brat broke my spell. It's really his fault. Now he's pinning the blame on Tanjiro. If nothing else, I want to kill that kid. And that boar, too. Yeah, I would have killed that kid if that boar hadn't stopped me. He has great intuition. He knew where I was looking. Is it over? Am I going to die? What a nightmare! And then it just shows the last of him fading away. It's always us lower level demons that the demon slayers kill. The upper rank demons, their ranks haven't changed for 100 years. They've buried mountains of slayers, even put Hashira in their graves. Their strength is out of this world. Even after receiving that much blood, I still couldn't match the upper ranks. I want another shot. I want to do it over. And as the last bit of him just fades away, he says, what a pathetic nightmare. And then the last of him just fades away, thus ending Enmu. And then we have Rengoku. And since I've seen the first season, I think I can better match his voice now. It looks like you can do total concentration constant. I'm impressed. Rengoku, that's the first step to becoming a Hashira. But that's just the first of 10,000 steps yet to come. I'll do my best. Your stomach is bleeding. Concentrate more. Improve the accuracy of your breath. Focus on every inch of your body. And then it just shows Tanjiro breathing. There are blood vessels, broken blood vessels. And it shows Tanjiro's breathing slowing down even more. Concentrate more, says Rengoku. And then it shows Tanjiro breathing, and then it shows an inside of his body, and it shows where the stab wound is. All surrounding blood vessels as well. That's it. Hemostasis. Stop the bleeding. So wait, you mean to tell me that all it takes is total concentration breathing and mastery over it to do things like even stop your body from bleeding from stab wounds? What type of Fist of the North Star Hulk 10 type Hulk no Kinshin combat expertise is this? I can't remember the exact name of the combat style of Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star, but all it takes is just breathing to know how to stop the bleeding in your body. Just breathing? Y'all crazy. That's it. Hemostasis. Stop the bleeding. And it shows Tanjiro attempting to stop the bleeding. And then Rengoku puts his finger on Tanjiro's forehead and says, concentrate. And then it shows Tanjiro concentrating. And apparently the bleeding has stopped. That's it. No more bleeding. There's lots of things you can do if you can master your breathing. That doesn't mean you can do anything, but you'll be much stronger than you were yesterday. And then Tanjiro says, yeah. And then Rengoku smiles at him. Everyone's safe. A lot of injuries, but no deaths. No need for you to overdo it. And then something lands right behind Rengoku and Tanjiro. And that's the end of chapter 62. Onwards to chapter 63. Who landed behind them? Chapter 63, Akaza, or Akaza. The Akaza. Oh! It's a demon. And it lands right in front of Rengoku and Tanjiro. And in his eyes is a number. Upper 3. Yo, This dude, whoever he is, he's one of the 12 Kizuki, and he's one of the upper levels. You know, the same one that Emu says that have not changed for over 100 years. This dude is the third strongest amongst all of the Kizuki. Here's the thing. I heard the English dub say Kizuki, and I can't tell if it's supposed to be Kizuki or Kizuki, like emphasis on the zoo part. So I'm just going to say Kizuki. Upper rank 3? What's he doing here? And then the guy just smiles, and then there's an explosion, and he immediately aims for Tanjiro. He's literally already on him. All you see is him just sonido right out of place, and he's already on Tanjiro. Flame breathing, second form, rising scorching sun, and Rengoku keeps this third upper Kizuki from hitting Tanjiro and literally slices his arm down the middle, like literally completely down the forearm, and causes him to jump backwards. And then instantly, this demon's arm just heals up immediately. And he's smiling, and he's got multiple tattoos all over his body. And he just licks the blood from his hand, saying, "Nice katana." And then Rengoku's thinking, fast regeneration and an overwhelming demon aura. He must be an upper-ranked demon. Now, why would someone as powerful as you attack the wounded first? I thought he might interrupt the conversation we're about to have. What are we going to talk about? This is our first meeting, but I already hate you. Of course, I also hate weak humans. When I see weakness, my skin crawls. You and I have very different values. Then I have a great idea. Why don't you become a demon? No. Thanks. No thanks. I can tell your strength by looking at you. You're a Hashira, right? You've developed your fighting spirit to the edge of perfection. And there's an illustration showing the aura around Rengoku as like a flaming aura around him. I am the flame Hashira Kyojuro Rengoku. I am Akaza. I am Akaza. Let me tell you, Kyojuro, why your power will never truly reach perfection. It's because you're human. Because you age. Because eventually you'll die. Become a demon, Kyojuro. If you do, you can train for hundreds of years and keep getting stronger. Of all the demons I've smelt, and this is Tanjiro, this one smells the most like Kibutsuji. I have to help. Where's my sword? Gone, it's gone. And then Rengoku says, growing old and dying is what gives meaning and beauty to the fleeting span of a human life. It's precisely because we age and die that our lives have value and nobility. Strength is not a word that means much in regards to the flesh. This boy isn't weak. Do not insult him. I'll say it again. You and I value different things. I have many reasons for not becoming a demon. And then Akaza says, I see. Technique development, destructive death, compass needle, and in a weird snowflake type pattern appears underneath him, and he takes on a stance. Kind of reminds me of the Hyuga style taijutsu in the way that a symbol appears underneath them. Not exactly in the way of the 8 trigrams, but a pattern underneath them as he takes a stance nonetheless. If you won't become a demon, then I'll have to kill you. And he launches towards Rengoku. And Rengoku pulls out a move called First Form Unknowing Fire! And Tanjiro's watching them thinking, I can follow them with my eyes! And it's just an explosion of fire and blows as Inosuke's watching on, and Zenitsu, and it shows Nezuko and Zenitsu have taken out some passengers as well. Zenitsu is bleeding from the head as of right now. Dawn's coming, they're going to need to get Nezuko in the box. And then Akaza says, the other Hashira I've killed didn't have flames. Still, none accepted my proposal. Why is that? As someone who always walks the path of the warrior, I do not understand it. One cannot simply decide to become a demon, you must be chosen. But you, who work so hard to build such magnificent talent, would simply let it wither away. Such a waste. It's hard for me to accept. I can't stand it. Die for me, Kyojuro. Do it while you're young and strong. Destructive death. Air type. And apparently it shows him, I don't even know what to call this move. Is he launching shockwaves at him? Or what? Because it shows him striking the air. And then Rengoku pulls out a move called Fourth Form, Blooming Flame Undulation. And he whips up a little mini flame wheel wall of fire. And then he says, he strikes the empty air with his fist, but the attack comes directly at me. If we keep fighting at a distance like this, it'll be tough to cut off his head. And as it shows Akaza landing, Rengoku is already directly in front of his face. So I'll get in close. And as he prepares to slice at him, Akaza says, such amazing speed. And it shows the both of them trading blows with one another at lightning speed, at just like breakneck speeds. And your wonderful sword technique. Time will steal it all, Kyojuro. Aren't you sad? That's how it goes. It's normal. That's what it means to be human. And then he looks at Tanjiro, who's attempting to move, and Rengoku says, don't move. If your wound's open, you'll die. It's not your time yet. And then Tanjiro starts moving. And Rengoku is still fighting Akaza right now. Don't waste your thoughts on that weakling, Kyojuro. Concentrate on me. You need all your strength for me. Then Rengoku continuously fights him with another flame-breathing technique. Flame breathing, fifth form. And Inosuke's right there next to Tanjiro, and he can only look on in awe. It's like, wow. Flame breathing, fifth form, flame tiger. While Akaza hits with destructive death, disorder. And they're both just going against each other. Wow, this is a hype-filled chapter right now. Oh, this is so good. But that's the end of chapter 63. Onwards to chapter 64. Chapter 64, the strength of the Hashira. And then the dust is settling, and it shows Rengoku still standing in front of Akaza right now, with Akaza, who got cut across his chest a little bit, saying, don't die yet, Kyojuro. But Rengoku is bloody all over. His eye is shut. He's bleeding from the mouth. He's got blood coming out of his side right now. Rengoku! 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 And then Inosuke is thinking to himself, there's no opening. I can't get in. I can't keep up with their movements. It's like they're in another dimension. And he's shaking and trembling. Inosuke is shaking and trembling. I feel it. If I get too close, there is only death. I know that if I go in to help, I'll only get in the way. Then Akaza continues to speak. Sorry, gotta adjust my mic here. No matter how desperately you fight, Kyojuro, it's all useless. That wonderful cut you made has already healed completely. But what about you? Your left eye is crushed, your ribs are broken, you're bleeding inside. Those are serious wounds. If you were a demon, you would heal in the blink of an eye. To a demon, those are just scratches. No matter how hard they struggle, humans cannot defeat demons. And then Tanjiro still tries to move, even though Rengoku told him not to. And he's thinking to himself, my limbs have no strength. It may be because I'm wounded, but this happens when I use Hinokami Kagura. Even though I wanna help. And then it shows the coat of Rengoku flare up. And he stands there with a smile on his face, saying, I will fulfill my duty. I won't let anyone here die. And he says so with a big old smile on his face and a flame-like background behind him, just hyping up his overall words right now. And then it shows him saying, as he looks at Akaza, saying, "In an instant, I'll slash up a broad area. Flame-breathing, esoteric art." And then Akaza is looking and trembling as well, saying, "Such fighting spirit. Even with those wounds, you're full of determination and spiritual fortitude. Your stance has no weakness. You really should become a demon Kyojuro. Then you could fight with me forever." Technique development. 9th form, Rengoku. And this is Rengoku saying, "9th form, Rengoku." And then it shows Akaza with his destructive death, annihilation type. And Tanjiro and Inosuke can only look on, and the dust is still settling. Did he stop? I can't see through the dust. Rengoku! Rengoku! I can't see! And then it shows Akaza and Rengoku, but they're still minorly shadowed in dust. Oh. Oh, no. Yo. Akaza has pierced straight through Rengoku's chest. And Rengoku has only managed to cut like deep into his shoulder, cut straight into his arm, and maybe slice off a part of his head as well. But Akaza managed to land a blow straight through him. Bruh. Then Akaza says, "Die! You're finished, Kyojuro! Give in! Say you'll become a demon! You're one of the chosen strong ones!" And then we're cutting to a flashback of Rengoku's past, who I believe his mother is talking to him. "Kyojuro?" "Yes, mother?" "Yes, mother?" "Think hard about my next question. Do you know why you were born stronger than other people?"
I don't know."
"So that you can help people weaker than you. Those blessed with more natural talent than others must use their strength for the good of the world, for other people. It is unforgivable to use strength granted by heaven to hurt others and empower yourself." Ooh, I like her. I like her words very much. "Helping the weak is the duty of those born with strength." Ooh, I like her already. "You must take your responsibility seriously and do your duty and never, ever forget that."
"Got it."
And then she reaches out and she hugs him. And she says with tears in her eyes, "I won't live much longer, but I am happy to have been the mother of such a strong and kind child. I'm counting on you." And then it cuts to the present day with Rengoku gripping his sword so hard that his veins bulge, and him slashing into the neck of Akaza. Yeah! He can still swing a sword? And then Rengoku says, "The honor is mine to have had you as my mother." And and then Rengoku screams in Akaza's face, "Yeah!" And continues. And then it shows Akaza's arm fully healed from the cut, bracing to punch into Rengoku. And Rengoku catches it and stops it. "He stopped my fist? Unbelievable power. But my fist has pierced his guts." And then Akaza notices something as he sees the sun rising past the mountains. Uh-oh, it's almost dawn. I need to kill him fast. But then as he tries to move, he notices that Rengoku has yet to let go of his arm. "I can't move my arm." And then Rengoku's thinking to himself, "I won't let you get away." And that's the end of chapter 64. Oh my goodness, Rengoku, you absolute boss. And I like his mother as well. His mother's words, those are words that can apply to today's world right now. Those with power should help those without. If you are stronger than others, it should be used for the benefit of others and to help those weaker than you. I like Rengoku's mother, and this is the first time I've seen her, but I like her already. But that's the end of chapter 64. Onwards to chapter 65. Chapter 65, Whose Victory? And it shows Tanjiro making his way towards Rengoku and Akaza. I have to cut off the demon's head, and fast. Dawn is breaking. Sunlight will be here. Well, dawn is breaking, and this is Akaza saying, dawn is breaking. Sunlight will fall here. I've got to get away. And it shows Akaza screaming as he's trying his best to get away from Rengoku, but nothing's working. Then Rengoku is saying, I won't let go. Not until I've cut off his head. And they're both just screaming at one another. Out of my way! And it shows Rengoku steadily cutting across Akaza's neck right now. And Tanjiro says, Inosuke, help! Move for Rengoku's sake! And then Inosuke immediately starts running towards Rengoku. Beast breathing, first fang, pierce! And then Akaza sees him and he stomps into the ground, causing Inosuke to be launched away, and also Akaza launching away from Rengoku. Both of his arms have been snapped off. I guess either he snapped his own arms off in order to get away from Rengoku, and as he lands, the sun comes up. The sun starts to really come up, and he gets frantic, saying, gotta hurry, someplace where there's shadow. And he immediately starts dashing for the woods, and Tanjiro, who starts to breathe in and starts to do some total concentration breathing, throws his sword at Akaza. While Akaza's thinking to himself, this is bad. I need to get far away from the sun. And it shows Tanjiro's sword piercing straight through Akaza, and it also shows Tanjiro making his way towards him. Where are you going, you coward? Don't run away! And then Akaza stops, and he thinks to himself, what is that brat talking about? Doesn't he have any brains in his head? I'm not running from the Demon Slayer Corps, I'm running from the sun! Besides, this fight is already over. Soon he'll run out of strength and die. The Demon Slayer Corps are flesh and blood humans. Our wounds don't close quickly. Lost limbs don't grow back. And yet you'll only fight us in the dark of night when you have the advantage. So why are you running, you jerk? Coward! You're afraid to admit that you haven't won today. Rengoku hasn't lost. Rengoku is stronger, much stronger than you. He didn't let anyone die. He saw the fight through to the end. He protected the rest of us. This is your defeat, and the victory belongs to Rengoku. I feel hyped just reading through this. I need to calm down. But your boy Tanjiro is speaking the facts. He's screaming like, ah! And Inosuke and Rengoku can only look at him. And then those screams turns into sobs as Tanjiro starts crying. And Rengoku just looks at him and just smiles. Don't cry so hard, kid. You're pretty hurt bad. You're hurt pretty bad too, you know. That cut in your belly will open up. And if you die, I won't have my victory anymore. Come here. Let's talk a little here at the end. And then he just sits. And then he just, wow, is this really going to be the end of Rengoku? Is this really, I know total concentration breathing can do a lot. But part of me is all like, really? Is this really going to be the end of Rengoku? I like this dude. And I like his mom. She has very, very wise words. But Tanjiro sits in front of Rengoku. And he says, I remember something I saw in my visions of the past. And that's the end of chapter 65. Wow, I went through that kind of quickly. Wow. Huh. But that's the end of chapter 65, onwards to chapter 66. Chapter 66, Scattering into Dawn. You should go to visit House Rengoku, where I was born. There you'll find the writings of past Flame Hashira. My father read them often, but I didn't, so I have no idea what's in them. They may contain words of the Hinokami Kagura you mentioned, and it shows the arm, and it, well, actually not just the arm, but, it shows the arm fading away into the arm, Kaza's arm that's in him fading away in the sun, and since that wound is opening, it shows his blood just pouring out of that open wound. And Tanjiro, with tears in his eyes, just says, "Please, please, Rengoku, that's enough. Isn't there any way to stop your bleeding? Can't you use your breathing?" And Rengoku says, "No, I'm going to die soon, but I have something to say, so listen. I want to tell you my little brother Senjuro. I want you to tell my little brother Senjuro to take the path he thinks is right, to follow his heart, and tell my father to take care of himself. And, Tanjiro, I believe in your little sister. I consider her a member of the Demon Slayer Corps. On the train, I saw her shed her own blood to protect humans. If she risks her life to fight demons and protect people, she's a member of the Corps no matter what anyone says. Stand tall and be proud. No matter how weak or unworthy you feel, keep your heart burning, grit your teeth, and move forward. If you just curl up in a ball and hide, time will pass you by. It won't stop for you while you wallow in grief. Don't worry over my death. I'm a Hashira. It's my job to shield you junior members. Any Hashira would do the same. We can't allow the young buds to be plucked. Tanjiro. Boarhead boy. Blondie there. You all keep learning and growing. And it shows Zenitsu trying to put Nezuko inside of her little box because he's hiding with her behind a bush from the sunlight. So Zenitsu managed to get her into safety at the current time right now. But Rengoku continues. You all keep learning and growing. Someday you guys will become Hashira and be the pillars of the Demon Slayer Corps. That's what I believe. And he says so with a smile on his face. And then he says, I believe in you. And as Tanjiro puts his head down, Rengoku sees a woman walking behind him. And it's Rengoku's mother. Mother, did I do well? Did I use my gifts wisely? And she looks at him, and she smiles and says, you did splendidly. And Rengoku can do nothing but smile in his last moments. Then we have Zenitsu saying, and it will, right after it shows Rengoku smiling, it shows like a clear blue sky. And then it shows Zenitsu saying, when the train went off the tracks, Rengoku used a bunch of techniques to minimize the damage to the train cars. And then Tanjiro says, I know he did. I can't believe he's dead. Was there really an upper ranked demon? Yes. Why did it come here? Was it that strong? Yes. This is all so frustrating. Every time I learn to do something new, I learn just how much more there is I don't know. These awesome people are fighting with such skill and power, and I'm still so far behind them. I feel like I'm falling behind. This is still Tanjiro speaking, not to be confused with my Zenitsu voice. Can I ever become anything like Rengoku? And then Zenitsu is just crying, and Inosuke is just quivering while he's just standing there. He hasn't said anything since. Don't dwell on such weak thoughts. Oh wait, that's Inosuke saying this. Don't dwell on such weak thoughts. You can or you can't. It doesn't do you any good to sit there wondering about the maybes. He said he believed in us, so don't worry about anything other than living up to that. Everything that dies returns to the earth. Crying won't bring any of them back. No matter how frustrated you feel, don't cry!" And he says, while tears are coming out of his mask, "Even if you think you're wretched and unworthy, you must keep on living." And then Zenitsu says, "But you're crying too. The tears are flowing out of your mask." "I'm not crying," says Inosuke as he headbutts Zenitsu. And then he starts waving his swords around while he's crying, saying, "Come on, we have to train!" And then it shows Inosuke beating on Tanjiro, trying to get him to move. While it also shows the other servants, like some of the servants of Rengoku, of the Hashira, like the lower guards. They're coming up, and they come across Inosuke and Tanjiro. Then a crow flies overhead. Then we got narration, and it looks like Kanao, and Shinobu right here walking in here. News of Rengoku's death soon reach Yashiki. I always get that confused. News of Rengoku's death soon reach Yashiki and the Hashira. "Farewell, Rengoku," says Shinobu, standing there with Kanao. Then a crow flies to Mitsuri, and she hears the news and she covers her mouth. Then another crow flies to the Miss Hashira, then to the flashy Hashira. Even Rengoku lost to an upper rank demon. Then one comes up to the snake Hashira, and he says, "I can't believe it." Then we have Gyomei with the guy that was in final selection that was being rude to the girls trying to get his sword. Who apparently he works with him, but the crow tells Gyomei, and Gyomei is crying as usual and saying his usual prayer, "Namu Amida Butsu." And then it shows Shinazagawa cutting through multiple bamboo posts, Ghost of Tsushima style. And he says, "I will annihilate all demons." And then a crow lands on Gyo Tomioka, and he says, "Oh." And then we have the leader, then we have the master of the Demon Slayer Corps. I really forget his name, even though it's been told to me. And he says, "Not one of the passengers died. Kyojiro struggled valiantly. He was an incredible young man. I am not forlorn. I cannot live much longer. Soon I will go to the other world where Kyojiro and the rest are." And that's the end of chapter 66. Onwards to chapter 67. Where do we go from here? Chapter 67, Looking for Something. And we have some people. Talking into a house. "Oh my, he seems to be very intelligent. Not having been blessed with children, I was depressed, but I feel so much better now that this marvelous child has arrived. Even without a blood connection, we are as close as any biological parent and child could be. He'll carry on for me when I'm gone. But he has a chronic skin disease. He cannot go outside in the daylight. Oh dear, how sad." Yep, this person is a demon. "I'm having my company create a special medication for him as quickly as possible." And it shows a little boy, reading inside of this library in his own personal room, and Akaza is there. Or Akaza is there. "I've come to report, Lord Muzan." Oh, wait. This man is just shifting bodies? First, he was like this Michael Jackson looking dude. Then he turned into a woman when he was addressing the lower ranks of the 12 Kizuki. Now this dude's like a little boy, like he's like, what is his name? What is his name? What is the name of the homunculus from Full Metal Alchemist in the appearance of a little boy? But he can also turn into a shadow as well. I forget his name. But he turns into a little boy, and apparently this is Mubon Kibutsuji. "Lord Muzan, did you find what I seek?" I investigated, but was no certain information. I also couldn't confirm its existence. I did not find the blue spider lily. Blue spider lily? What's the significance of that? And I will continue searching to find the answers you seek. As you commanded, I killed one of the Hashira. All is well. And then Muzan gets mad and he says, I've been saying this dude's name wrong this whole time. I've been saying Akaza this whole time, and it's Asuka. It's Asuka. I've been saying Asuka's name wrong this whole time. I'm addressing this now so people don't say, you're saying the name wrong. I'm clearly addressing it right now for you, just in case I get comments saying, like, wow, you're saying his name completely wrong. It's not Akaza, it's Asuka. So I'm addressing it now. His name is Asuka. But Muzan gets mad and he says, Asuka, you appear to be under a misconception. And then there's a cracking sound that goes around Asuka. Why even bother to tell me you killed a mere Hashira? It is only natural for a demon to defeat a human. And whatever's going with Asuka is really harming. It's really harming him. Whatever Muzan's doing to him, it's hurting him. Like there's cracks going across him. So does that mean he's breaking Asuka's bones inside of his body while he's speaking to him? But continuing, why even bother to tell me you killed a mere Hashira? It is only natural for a demon to defeat a human. What I seek is the annihilation of the entire Demon Slayer Corps itself. We must kill every last one so they never sully my sight again. This isn't a complicated task. Yet you still have failed. What is the meaning of this? And as he says this, he's just ripping books apart. You proudly report having killed a Hashira, but you left 3 demon slayers alive. Why didn't you finish them off? I sent you because I trusted you'd get the job done, Akaza. Wait a minute. I think I've been saying it right. Because here it says when he's saying that it's I went back a couple of pages. What in the world did they misprinted his name? It's Akaza, but in this one instance it's Asuka. They can't decide. I'm just gonna say what it says here. You proudly report having killed a Hashira, but you left 3 demon slayers alive. Why didn't you finish them? I sent you because I trusted you'd get the job done, Asuka. Asuka! And as Muzan is just breaking this dude down, Akaza is Akaza. Akaza. I can't tell anymore. Akaza! And Akaza is literally, looks like he's breaking apart and bleeding from his eyes and mouth. And he's one of the upper 3 of the Kibutsuji. Of the Kizuki, not Kibutsuji. These names are gonna mess me up so much. I hope you guys are prepared. Akaza! You disappoint me. If you took a blow from a swordsman who isn't even a Hashira, then upper rank 3 has indeed fallen. Leave me. And then it shows Akaza outside, and he still has Tanjiro's sword, and he looks at it, and then he starts, aiming for the sword as he remembers Tanjiro's words of him being called a coward. I've memorized your face, boy. When next we meet, I'll spill your brains. So using his destructive death style, he destroys Tanjiro's sword. This is the second time Tanjiro's sword has been destroyed. Your boy, the sword maker, is not going to be happy to hear that he's lost his sword again. But in the Butterfly Mansion, even Tanjiro is depressed. Sometimes he gets it in his head that a thing is impossible. That's understandable. I mean, when even someone as well trained as Rengoku dies, it's sad. Even Inosuke was wailing. He must have been so frustrated. People don't simply recover instantly. No matter how strong someone is, they can feel pain and sadness. And this is the monologue of Zenitsu. Hope it's not too dark in here for you guys. No matter how strong someone is, they can feel pain and sadness, but hiding from it doesn't solve anything. You must rouse your aching heart and stand back up. I'm sure Rengoku was that kind of person. He had that way about him. He was a little weird, but he was strong. Tanjiro! I brought you some manju. Let's eat. And then, it looks like Seimi, one of the little girls that's there. She bumps into Zenitsu and hits him in the nose, and he immediately starts bleeding.
Tanjiro is gone! Zenitsu, I'm so sorry.
No, I'm totally fine. He's dizzy from it. What happened?
Your eyeballs are all googly. I'm really sorry. Tanjiro isn't anywhere to be found. He was training even though his wounds haven't healed yet, and Shinobu was livid. She ordered him to rest, but his stomach wound was really deep, and he went off somewhere she ordered him to rest, but...
And then Zenitsu says, his stomach wound was really deep, and he went off somewhere just like that? Is he crazy? And then it shows Tanjiro just walking outside with Nezuko. Rengoku's crow. Thank you. It's guiding me based on Rengoku's last wishes. And Tanjiro is just sweating, and he looks the worse for wear, and he sees someone outside of a house sweeping. And that looks like Senjuro. Then he comes up and says, you must be Senjuro, right? And then Senjuro just looks at him, and Tanjiro bows. And then Tanjiro says, have you heard the sad news about Kyojuro Rengoku? He entrusted me with messages for his father and brother. Then Senjuro gets sweaty, and he starts thinking, from my brother? I heard what happened to him, but, are you all right? You're very pale. And then I'm guessing the father comes in and says, stop! I bet his last words were worthless anyway. He didn't have much talent, but he became a swordsman anyway, and that's why he died. What a worthless and stupid son he was. And then Tanjiro just looks at him. You can kind of see the anger seething up in him. But that is the end of chapter 67. Onwards to chapter 68. We're almost done. Chapter 68, Wielder. A person's capabilities and limitations are set at birth. A rare few enter the world with talent. The rest are just rabble. They're dust of no value. That's how it was with Kyojuro. Worthless. He had no talent. Of course he died. Senjuro, the funeral is over. Stop looking so miserable. And then Tanjiro says, hey! What a horrible thing to say. Please, don't say that. Who are you anyway? Go away. Don't darken my doorstep. And then Tanjiro says, I'm in the Demon Slayer Corps. And Rengoku's father immediately gets mad and drops his gourd. No, he immediately notices his Hanafuna earrings and drops his gourd that he was drinking from. And then he says, you practice the art of sun breathing. You do, don't you? And Tanjiro says, sun breathing? What's that? And the father immediately pushes Tanjiro down, and he's already on him. So fast, he doesn't move like an amateur. Father, please, stop. Look at his face. Look at his face, he isn't well. More nonsense. Shut up. And then the father immediately hits his son Senjuro with enough force to make him bleed from the mouth. And this injures Tanjiro, and Tanjiro immediately punches the father, saying, knock it off, you brute! What's wrong with you? You insult your own fallen son and then hit your other one? What are you thinking? And then the father, with a crazed look in his eye, says, I suppose you came to ridicule us. Absolutely not. Why would I do that? That makes no sense at all. You're a practitioner of sun breathing. I know those earrings. It was written down. And then it clicks for Tanjiro. Does sun breathing mean the Hinokami Kagura? Yeah, sun breathing is it's the first breathing technique. It's the first breathing technique that ever was and the strongest. What? So Tanjiro's father was using the first and strongest breathing technique that ever existed? It's the first breathing technique that ever was and the strongest, and all other breathing techniques are merely variations. All those styles are nothing more than imitations of sun breathing. They're lesser forms that copied sun breathing. Of all of them, flame, water, wind. What's this about? I come from a long line of charcoal sellers. Sun breathing Hinokami Kaguya? No. Instead of that, you may be a wielder of sun breathing, but don't get uppity, boy. Uppity? You have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know how miserable I am because of my own weakness. You bitter old man! Don't insult the memory of Rengoku! And then Tanjiro immediately runs at him.
No, father's a former Hashira.
And then the father immediately hits Tanjiro in the head.
Father, please don't.
Why? If the Hinokami Kaguya is sun breathing, if it's such an incredible technique, why couldn't I help Rengoku? And then it just shows the father just beating up on Tanjiro and just constantly trying to hit him. Why? Why? And then it shows Tanjiro dodging one of the father's hits and then headbutting the father straight in the face. And given the nature of Tanjiro's inhumanly hard skull, this might be what stops the fight. And Senjudo can only look on as both Tanjiro and the father fall over. And now, suddenly we're inside of Rengoku's house. Now I've done it. And then Senjudo is offering him some tea. Like he's inside of Rengoku's house now. It shows him falling over and now he's inside the house. Have some tea, please. Oh, thank you. Sorry, I really headbutted your dad. Is he alright?
I think he's fine. He woke up and went out to buy more sake.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Huh?
I'm relieved. When father spoke poorly of Rengoku, I couldn't talk back to him. What were my brother's final moments like?
And then I guess he tells him.
Oh, I see. He was valiant to the end. Thank you very much.
Not at all. I'm just sorry I wasn't strong enough to.
Don't worry about it. I bet my brother said that too, right? I think I know those writings my father often looks at. I'll get them. Wait a moment.
And then Senjudo brings a book called Book 21st Flame Hashira.
I think this is it. Is this what you were hoping to find?
And then Tanjiro bows and says, thank you. And they both look into it, and they're shocked, and Tanjiro says, what is this? And that's the end of chapter 68. Onwards to chapter 69. Nice. Chapter 69, move forward, even if just a little.
It's ruined. Most of it illegible. Was it always like this? I don't think so.
The annals of the successive generations of the Hashira are stored carefully.
I think father may have torn it up himself. I'm so sorry.
No, this isn't your fault. Please, don't worry about it.
You came all the way here, but you didn't learn anything about the Hinokami Kaguya or the sun breathing my father mentioned.
That's all right, because now I know what to do. I'll train more. I haven't even mastered all the Hinokami Kaguya for which I do know the dance movements.
You haven't?
When I use the Hinokami Kaguya in a state of total concentration, I can't move the way I want. That's my problem. My body isn't performing my techniques. Total concentration constant improve my physical strength, but that's not enough. If I continue to do constant, I'll get stronger day by day, but I won't get stronger instantly. That day, I wish there had been a way to instantly get strong enough to save Rengoku. I've been thinking about it for a while now. I realize that there's no such method. There is no shortcut. The only option is to struggle on. All I can do is move forward, no matter how difficult or frustrating it is. And if I do, eventually I'll become a powerful Hashira like Yojiro. And Senjuro just smiles with tears in his eyes. And then he says, My brother didn't have a Sukuko, a successor. I was supposed to be a Sukuko. As his backup, I had to build experience. But my Nichirin sword never changed color. If you don't reach a certain level of swordsmanship, the color doesn't change. No matter how hard I tried, I was no good. So I'm giving up being a swordsman. I'll be useful in some other way. This severs the succession of Flame Hashira, a blotch on their long history. But I'm sure my brother will forgive me. And then Tanjiro says, please, walk the path that you think is right. If anyone speaks badly about you, I'll headbutt them. You shouldn't do that. And then Tanjiro was thinking like, maybe I kind of overstepped myself there. I'll repair that shredded book as best I can, and I'll look for the other books too. I'll ask Father about them. If I learn something, I'll send a crow. I'm glad we got to talk. Please be careful on your way back. I'm glad too. Thank you. Oh, Tanjiro, one more thing. Here. It's the handguard from my brother's Nichirin sword. I can't accept something so personal. I want you to have it. I'm sure it will protect you. Thank you. And then Tanjiro leaves. And then it shows Senjiro talking to his father saying, may I join you? You're back. Quicker than... Shut up! It doesn't matter. Get out! I know what Kyojuro said. It doesn't matter. He had some complaint about me. I already know that. Go! Get out! All right. Then Senjiro looks at his father. And then he says, all he wanted to say to you was, please take care of yourself. And then the father just looks on. And then Senjiro closes the door. And leaves. And then it just shows the father. And then it shows Rengoku saying, don't worry, Dad. I'll be back. And it shows the father trying to drink some sake and slams it down. And he, with tears in his eyes, just screams out the name Kyojuro. And he's crying over his son. So he does feel something. Good. Then Tanjiro was walking, and he's thinking to himself, it's hard to breathe. Do I have a fever? I can't be so soft. Come on! And then Nezuko is scratching inside of her box. It's all right, Nezuko. We'll reach Butterfly Mansion soon. And then it shows someone in the distance. And then it's Haganezuka. It's Haganezuka, and he has multiple knives in his headband and multiple knives in his hands, and there's veins all over his body, which means that he probably found out that Tanjiro lost his sword, and he looks incredibly upset about it. What? Haganezuka? You little fool, what's wrong with you losing your sword? That deserves death! Death! And then, as he's chasing Tanjiro, he's saying, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry! I'm really, really sorry! They played a deadly game of tag until nearly dawn, and it shows Haganezuka just stabbing into a tree that Tanjiro is hiding in top of. And that's the end of chapter 69, onwards to the last chapter of today, chapter 70. Chapter 70, Kidnapper. Almost 4 months have passed since the death of Rengoku. Wow, 4 months have passed already. Most days we trained, but when crows came with instructions, we took a break and went to battle demons. Zen stopped whining, even when he had to go on missions alone. Give me a lock of Nezuko's hair, then I'll fight harder. Inosuke became even more reckless than before. Let's run until our bones crumble! Come on, guys! The best thing about it, just a little farther, hang in there, was not having to be alone. And it shows all of them training and running together. Nezuko! Nezuko! Returning from a solo mission, I'm beat. And then it shows Tanjiro apparently returning from solo mission and getting to the butterfly mansion. And then there's screaming coming from inside the mansion.
Let me go! I said...
And then it shows one of the Hashira picking up Aoi and one of the other girls that works there at the butterfly mansion. It's the flashy Hashira with the jewels and the tattoos. And the eye tattoo. You're too noisy, so shut up.
Stop, please!
And Kanao isn't saying anything, but she's kind of sweating a little bit.
Please let her go! Kanao!
And Kanao is just thinking to herself, duty, mission, Shinobu, Aoi, superior officers, Naho, Hashira, coin, orders, coin.
I'll toss my coin to the side.
And she thinks back to what Tanjiro says, obey your heart.
Kanao!
And then Kanao grabs the Hashira of her own free will.
Kanao! Miss Kanao!
Don't be such a bore. You got orders earlier, didn't you? And Kanao doesn't say anything. Say something, you stuck-up pig! And then the girls scream out, Charge! And they both jump on top of the Hashira and try to tackle him. Hey, girls, knock it off! And then Tanjiro shows up. What are you doing to those girls? Let him go! And they all stop and look at him. Or are they swarming him? Who caught who?
Kidnapper! Help us! Help us!
You little brat! And then Tanjiro jumps towards him and prepares to headbutt him. And then the flashy Hashira, the bejeweled Hashira, I really forget his name, disappears and everyone's dropped and Tanjiro misses. Well, almost everyone is dropped. Are you all right? Yeah! Idiot. And the flashy Hashira is on top of a building still holding Aoi and the other girl. His name is Tengen. Wow, I gotta remember his name. I am Tengen Uzui, a former ninja. I'm well known in that world. Do you think I'd let you hit me with your snotty headbutt? Let go of Aoi and Naho, you kidnapper!
Yeah!
What's the big idea?
Pervert!
Why, you talking to me? I'm your superior officer. I'm a Hashira, you jerk. I don't recognize you as a Hashira. Huh. Don't you me? So what if you don't recognize me? You're just an underling. Has your brain exploded? I need a core member for a mission, so I'm taking her. She isn't a Tsukuko, so I don't need Kocho's permission.
Naho isn't a core member. She isn't wearing a core uniform, is she?
Then I don't need her. And he just immediately tosses Naho. What are you doing, you brute?
He trapped me.
For now, I'm taking her on a mission. She doesn't look useful, but she's basically a core member. And Aoi is just sweating bullets here. People have different needs and abilities. You can't just use them. People have different needs and abilities, says Tanjiro. You can't just use them as you like with no regard for them at all. Let Aoi go. Tepid. You're lukewarm. The Demon Slayer Corps is getting weaker because of new members like you who just rattle on like that. Take me. I'll go in place of Aoi. And then Zenitsu is right there next to Tengen, as is Inosuke, and they pretty much surround him, and they're all standing on a fence right next to him. I just got back, but I'm not tired. I don't mind going either. Let go of Aoi, you. Even if you are a muscle-bound monster, I won't retreat one step. And they all just stare down Tengen. Whatever. You guys come with me. He sure caved easily. But you better not let me down. And then he slaps Aoi in the butt, just like,
hey!
And then narration says, he let Aoi go. And then one of the other girls says,
Tanjiro.
So? He's tall. Where are we going? The flashiest place in Japan, steeped in lust and avarice. It's an entertainment district where demons dwell. Yo! Volume 8, The Strength of the Hashira, The End. This is the end of Volume 8 and the end of Chapter 70. And thus ends my read-through of Volume 8 of Demon Slayer, KIMETSU no YAIBA. The story is really picking up and I'm enjoying it thus far. But that concludes today's reading. I won't keep you held any longer than I already have. I got to do a little bit of editing because there's some parts I need to chop out just a little bit, so it's not going to be as long as I think it is. But we'll see once I'm done editing. But with that being said, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then consider subscribing because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples.